As you can see, our distinguished psychologists are present here in the debate hall. On the right, we have Jean Piaget, the Swiss scholar and creator of the theory of cognitive developmental stages in children. And on the left, Lev Vygotsky, the Belarusian psychologist and founder of the sociocultural theory of cognitive development and the concept of the zone of proximal development. After a brief introduction, we'll return with the start of the debate. Hello. I'm Jefferson, and this is psychology class. So the idea is that during each program, we'll bring in 2 or more prominent psychologists or philosophers and explore a psychological problem that might be relevant to anyone of any age. In the meantime, we'll ask 3 powerful AIs to be our judges and help us with the scoring. Carol, an 8-year-old girl from Sydney, Australia, has just started 2nd grade, but she still hasn't fully learned the alphabet. When the teacher asks the children to read aloud, she feels shy and remains silent. Her mother is worried because last year in 1st grade, she also couldn't properly learn to read and write. Her new teacher realizes that Carol may need special exercises and a bit more patience. But Carol is neither slow nor a late learner, since her assessments have shown that her intelligence and abilities are good. Now we are trying to understand what the real problem is and find the right solution for this little girl. Today, with the help of artificial intelligence, psychology books, and philosophy texts, we have formulated 5 fundamental questions. By answering them, we hope to find a way to help Carol.
Pure evil. It's beautiful.
The scoring process is as follows. After each question, our selected artificial intelligences answer our questions based on 2 criteria: scientificity and therapeutic application, from 0 to 10. 1. Being scientific from the perspective of scientific psychology means that a theory or statement is testable, is replicable, is supported by empirical evidence and data, is unambiguous. Therapeutic application. That is, this theory or idea is useful in actual therapy, gives the therapist real insight, can be used in psychotherapy, helps the client manage their thoughts, and becomes more adaptable, calmer. Question 1. Why hasn't Carol mastered reading and writing by 2nd grade?
From my perspective, it all comes down to the child's internal cognitive development. Carol hasn't fully entered the concrete operational stage yet.
What is concrete operations? In Piaget's theory, concrete operations is the stage that occurs roughly between ages 7 and 11. At this stage, children can think logically, but only about real and tangible objects or situations. They understand concepts such as conservation, classification, and seriation. However, they are still unable to think abstractly or deal with hypothetical ideas.
She's not able to understand symbols and signs logically.
What is symbols? In Piaget's theory, symbols refer to a child's ability to represent one thing with another. This skill is part of symbolic thought in the pre-operational stage, ages 2 to 7, allowing children to engage in pretend play, use words and images to stand for objects, and mentally represent concepts.
Without this stage, no amount of social interaction or instruction can truly teach her to read and write. Without the necessary cognitive structure, external teaching alone is ineffective. That's a limited view. Cognitive development without social and cultural interaction is incomplete. Carol may be mentally ready, but if she's not in an environment with someone guiding her and aligning learning activities with her cultural and linguistic context, she won't progress. Reading and writing are social processes, not just mental ones. But without a strong cognitive foundation, even guidance won't help. And without guidance and interaction, no real cognitive foundation forms.
Question 2. What is the top priority in helping Carol?
The first priority is to have a skilled guide by her side. Someone who knows exactly where she stands in her zone of proximal development.
What is zone of proximal development? In Vygotsky's theory, the zone of proximal development, ZPD, is the gap between what a child can do independently and what they can achieve with guidance from a more knowledgeable person, such as a teacher or a more capable peer. Vygotsky believed that real learning occurs within this zone, as support and scaffolding help the child acquire new skills.
And can walk her through it, step by step. Without this guidance, no progress will stick. I respect that, but hands-on tools and discovery-based activities are key. Carol needs to encounter real objects and pictures and connect letters to sensory experiences, so her mind builds the proper structure. Without that structure, guidance alone isn't enough. A guide without tools is like a map without a destination. And tools without a guide are just entertainment.
Question 3. What role do family and environment play?
Families should provide opportunities for symbolic play at home, like letter cards or reading together. These experiences build the cognitive foundation, and without them, even school instruction can fall short. Families do more than that. They're key learning partners. When parents or older siblings actively participate, Carol doesn't just see the letters. She experiences them in a meaningful social context. This social engagement is essential for deep learning. Families must set the stage and join her in the play.
Question 4. If you were Carol's teacher, what approach would you take?
I emphasize discovery-based learning. I'd let Carol explore for herself what letters are and what sounds they make. Personal discovery leads to deeper, more lasting learning. Teachers should create interactive experiences, not just transfer information. Discovery is important, but Carol also needs modeling and guidance.
What is modeling? In Piaget's theory, modeling refers to the child's process of constructing and using mental models or representations of objects, situations. or relationships. This ability helps children visualize complex concepts, understand cause and effect relationships, and mentally test problems before experiencing them in reality.
I would act as an active helper, showing correct answers and gradually reducing support until she can work independently. Without this, discovery alone might lead to confusion or frustration.
Discovery without guidance can take too long.
And guidance without discovery makes learning shallow.
Question 5. What do you predict for Carol's future if interventions are applied or not?
With proper social support and guidance, she can make rapid, significant progress and catch up with her peers. Without intervention, the developmental gap will widen, her confidence will drop, and her motivation to learn will suffer.
I stress that intervention must match her cognitive stage. Social guidance alone isn't enough. If instruction isn't aligned with her cognitive development, not only will gaps persist, but future learning foundations will be weak.
Social support is Carol's turning point.
And cognitive growth is the pillar supporting it.
As you can see, in terms of the scientific accuracy of the answers, Vygotsky is ahead of Piaget by a noticeable margin. This indicates that, contrary to appearances, Vygotsky's theories also hold high scientific significance. However, this does not mean that Piaget's theories and contributions are unimportant. In the therapeutic application section, Vygotsky is again significantly ahead of Piaget, showing that cognitive development occurs largely within social interactions and engagement with others. We should remember not to restrict children from playing with peers or interacting with others out of our own fears, and avoid raising them in isolation as introverted or overly sheltered. Finally, in the overall score, it is natural that Vygotsky receives a higher rating. Also, all 3 AI systems considered in our study provide their evaluations with careful logic and consistency, taking all factors into account.